Every year, more than 2 million non-science students pass through the doors of colleges of science like this across our entire nation. Each student takes 3 to 5 science courses for their general education requirements. One could argue that this activity is crucial to the health of our civilization. It is exactly these non-science students that make the decisions to support or not to support the massive science and technological infrastructure upon which much of our modern economy is based. Are we serving them? Many national studies prove American science literacy is abysmal. Our international comparison scores are embarrassing. We offer numerous GE courses, but studies show they are completely unintegrated, with too little cumulative learning within and between courses offered by isolated departments. There is also too little orientation of this foreign information to the lives and home disciplines of non-science students. They have practically no framework upon which to organize the new information. And these are precisely those students most vulnerable to the modern information explosion and the increasing complexity of personal and societal problems. Is multimedia courseware one of the solutions? One government study combined 38 independent studies, another 114, to show dramatic and consistent improvement across all instructional settings and applications. Roughly, flunking students began to achieve average performance, and the whole curve of achievement moved upward. Learning time was often reduced 50%. That's impressive. Just 10 months ago, the National Science Foundation gave us a $100,000 pilot grant to see if we could synthesize the key knowledge of 7 natural sciences into one integrated learning experience, all using multimedia. We are seeking not only a revolution in content and methodology as an alternative solution to the long-term GE problems just mentioned, but also we're seeking an alternative that can be easily and widely disseminated. Our current answer is a trilogy of courses as highly interactive multimedia lessons on 60 CD-ROMs, all with accompanying texts, pamphlets, and cross-disciplinary lab protocols. Let me show you a quick sample of our multimedia production to date, and you can judge for yourself if this is a new, efficient, and appealing way to learn in the 21st century. From our opening logo, it's clear that exploring the universe can be exciting, but the GE weaknesses just cited overwhelm non-scientists. Integrated science general education centers on one working insight for the year of study. Particulars differ radically, yet they have underlying processes in common. Focusing on these key similarities unites the world and simplifies complexity. Standard GE separates the sciences. We do the opposite by focusing on very fundamental systems processes, like feedback or cycling. These have been proven key aspects of the most important theories and phenomena of each of our 7 sciences. The first such integrative theme of the year, and of our pilot, shows numerous examples and case studies of hierarchies across all the sciences, revealing how such different things in nature share common forms that make learning new things easier. For 2 weeks, students studied those hierarchical case studies, but they do this in a refreshing variety of learning environments, namely 4 face-to-face group study sessions, to balance the technological intensity of the computerized self-study lessons. There are no lectures. Hierarchy integrates the sciences when students learn to look for its general features and functions in each science, distinct levels, gaps, subunits making units, emergence, and its remarkable functions like simplifying complexity. Next, we take them on 4 alternative tours of the universe of things. Here they fly through 20 hierarchical levels of the universe, from the largest scale to the smallest, and back again. They are in control of a mind-expanding trip. Stop it anywhere for information. A second tour allows choice from a mosaic of icons that displays the universe simplified to only 20 levels. Each is a button to click on for vital stats of that level, or they can compare 2 levels side by side. Then students can analyze hierarchical levels and the relations more carefully by each discipline. Here, all the levels of objects in nature studied by astronomy. Stars grouping into clusters of stars into galaxies, galaxies into superclusters of galaxies, and so on. The pyramid arrangement shows that each level gives rise to the next, that numbers decline, that sizes increase. Each level has a series of buttons allowing students to explore that level in greater detail. The physics hierarchical pyramid shows how this one of our several picture metaphors for the hierarchy integrative theme can be used in different ways, That quarks cluster into nucleons, which cluster into atoms, is a structural hierarchy like astronomy. But it is also important to physics that Aristotle's theories of motion fit into and are extended by Galileo's, and his by Einstein's. The pertinent levels of a disciplinary hierarchy are not always objects. Here in geology we show that a series of epochs taken together make up a period. A series of periods make up an era, etc., like time. Here an example of an epoch. There an example of a period, the Jurassic. And finally an example of an era, the first on Earth, the Hadean. Once a student becomes familiar with the metaphor of a pyramid for hierarchy, we can then go into the information sciences and show how things cluster. For example, we can show the central processing unit as the main subunit of the personal computer, and how the personal computer can be linked together into a large area network. Here they examine the main hierarchical levels of biosystems, from molecular to ecosystem. Each square is a button that gives information about the level, real examples, number of variants, etc. This hierarchy gives them an overview of biosystems that helps them absorb new bioinformation. This pyramid metaphor of hierarchical levels is an efficient way to present more detailed case studies of important knowledge and theories within any particular science. It is a highly graphic demonstration of how integrative themes show similarities between different science phenomena. Using the same levels already learned, for example, we can describe the particulars that represent those levels in explaining muscle action as follows. As we do this, imagine how different phenomena from each science could also be integrated by showing similarities in cycles and cycling, feedback, flows, etc. Attractive diagrams like introduce the technical details, as here, muscles are reduced through 5 levels of nested structure to their molecules. Interest is maintained and sensory power is extended by letting them fly through actual pictures of the hierarchical levels of muscle, a micro tour of continual magnification. They can stop and inquire at any level. Each specific muscle level name is related to the general common levels of all biosystems already learned, making it easier to learn new specifics. Buttons allow them to compare real pictures with simpler diagrams, level by level. Once the muscle is reduced to molecules, animations show in mechanical detail how muscles work, back up the hierarchy to the level they know best. Throughout, we use mind-expanding learning metaphors. These ideas increase the sense of integration over the course year, as students repeatedly encounter the same ideas, and gradually these provide a consistent framework that helps them organize new knowledge. The metaphors even try to explain to students how they learn and the significance of what they learn. Every module will emphasize how students build new neural nets for every new concept learned. We will show how, when enough are built, they can extend their thoughts outward and look back at themselves, their culture, and nature with new insight and perception. The coherent year of study will repeat direct learning experiences to give them unparalleled freedom to explore. They will literally learn to travel the shared, some species brain, the accumulated neural nets of the best human minds of 10,000 years. Science will expand their seeing from a max of 7 to a new max beyond 47 orders of magnitude. Science increases personal and social survival. Graphics deliver abstract ideas. This shows how the scientific method has increased the bulk of human knowledge each century. With increase in knowledge, our awareness of what we don't know and the number of good questions we can ask, the balloon periphery, also increases. These lines on the left show how separate items of knowledge in one century become integrated the next as a unification of electromagnetism. Can we do this in the next century for the 100 separate cancers that plague us today? With multimedia, we can give our students otherwise impossible direct experiences. This is essential to their understanding of science phenomena, so distant from their everyday experiences. Multimedia is much better at this than conventional classroom education. Multimedia enables the student to see the unseeable in science. For example, how many of us have witnessed the birth of stars or the interaction of drugs with DNA? We can put students with multimedia at the mouth of an exploding volcano and have them follow rivers of lava to the ocean as it creates new geological Earth for the first time. Here's their personal Infonet traveler. They can board for tours at will and fly in to choose among several control modules as shown here to tour hierarchical levels, time, dimension, space. Here's a glimpse of a time tour. With each mouse click, they go back an adjustable jump in time. Icons appear when they reach their target area. They click on these to get information. Here, the Jurassic. The touring will give them a real feel for how far back key scientific events are. Students have also never witnessed time-lapse evolution of their own forelimb, here shown morphing from Eryops, the first amphibian on land, to the human forelimb. To drive the point home, on the left and right, bar graphs will show hundreds of millions of years and the thousands of mutations required for the transition, giving them a real sense of evolution. To give students a sense of how slowly humans became aware of the 20 levels of the universe we covered in Tour of the Universe, we asked them to enter a year, 1980 here. And then we show them what levels were sensed by that time by the human race. Not very many, quite a few. And then we asked them how many were understood, about the same amount. A more dramatic difference is shown when we go back to a year such as 500 BC. Now how many levels were sensed? As you can see, much fewer than before. And it's even worse when we ask how many were understood at that time. They can continue this to understand how slowly human consciousness evolves. Studies show that increases in both learning speed and retention is directly correlated with increased interactivity of the multimedia lessons. So we have built in multiple levels of interactivity that make each lesson an engrossing adventure. Student controls make the learning self-paced, interactive, nonlinear. Function keys will bring up any or all of these 6 movable control panels with 35 different buttons, each a gem of new pedagogy. Press this one, for example, the Encyclopedia button on the Exploration panel to browse through the hierarchical zoo of all elements. Each element is a button giving more buttons on specifics like characteristics, history, uses of that element. Click the Test button and one of 5 animations pop up. You can pull any element into the box in this fun test to see if it conducts electricity. Thus, students self-discover key distinctions like metal versus non-metal or metalloid. Throughout the year, at their command, this one Encyclopedia button will let them browse the zoo of minerals or subatomic particles or galaxies. Charts scare non-scientists, not here. Click around astronomy's HR diagram to find out where our star is in its life cycle, or where it will be in old age. We build complex diagrams step by step to aid understanding. Here the chromosome is reduced through 7 levels to its molecules. Without this hierarchical compaction, humans could not have evolved. Here we show how nature used hierarchical levels of folds within folds as a design principle in our own intestines to vastly increase surface area. Buttons allow information on each level. Repeat this strategy across all 7 sciences, and the utility of hierarchy as an integrative theme is revealed. Independent learning using computers allows us to embed numerous games as learning exercises. With each one, students repeatedly encounter the same information in an endless sequence of variations. Taken together, they markedly increase student understanding of each case study. Repetition is the mother of learning. Games give repetition variety and make it fun. Here, a variant on the ancient Mahjong game asks students to match names and pictures of all 20 universal levels with their log sizes, with immediate feedback for every right and wrong answer. This game is randomly generated. Which of these scrambled pictures of levels is largest? Easy, the galaxy. But the smallest? The white objects? Atoms? No, apparently. Must be stars, not atoms, and so on to place the organelles. Again, randomly generated, this game can be played over and over. All precious learning time. The sizing of basic objects in nature is precisely one of the areas where our students fail in international tests. Finally, throughout the year, we invite the students to explore many connections between the sciences, and also bridges between ideas or processes in the sciences and similar ideas in their home disciplines. More than anything else, this helps them feel the unity of nature and humanity. Throughout, we stress connections between the sciences and society using striking analogies. Here, ATP morphs into one of the first coins. It shows ATP is to exchange in metabolism as coins are to exchange in our economy. Ancient cells had to evolve ATP 3 billion years ago as they became complex, just as ancient economies had to evolve money 3,000 years ago. We use here what students know well, hierarchical levels of language, to speed their grasp of the genetic code or the computer code, both also hierarchical. We then bridge these to the culture of music, which is also hierarchical. The world is one integrated whole. Much of this was produced by our own CSU students in a way that suggests a third revolution in education, learning through production. Imagine the increase in public support if students became known as producers of products and services while they learned. No longer a sabbatical away from society, education could be featured as a practical activity that returned wealth directly to its societal sponsors. Given the problems with GE offered by our current universities and publishers, can we continue to ignore new solutions? Institutions that lose the power and facility to innovate die. So our integrated science general education program represents an attempt at three simultaneous and synergistic revolutions: learning through production, a revolution in content through integration and synthesis, a revolution in teaching and learning methods through multimedia. As a wise man once said, there is nothing so powerful as ideas whose time has come.